Now, much of the Obama story has been built on his powers of oration. After all, the phrase, "yes, we can," helped him get elected. Here in Africa, though, Barack Obama's words frequently grated and sometimes annoyed his counterparts. CGTN's Robert Nagila has more.
Barack Obama is likely to be remembered far more for his words than his actions here, because he certainly didn't shy away from sensitive subjects. Term limits was a favorite. He lectured leaders of the African Union, telling them nobody should be president for life. Your country is better off if you have new blood and new ideas. However, some could barely disguise their irritation. Among them, Uganda's Yoweri Museveni, who responded, "I don't know what he meant, I don't care. For us in Uganda, we rejected this business of term limits." Obama also pushed the case for equal rights for gays, another issue bound to cause trouble, telling Kenya and its president, when a government gets in a habit of people treating people differently, those habits can spread. As an African American, I'm painfully aware of what happens when people are treated differently under the law. President Uhuru Kenyatta was sharing the stage at the time, but clearly did not share the sentiment. I repeatedly say that for Kenyans today, the issue of gay rights is really a non-issue. Zimbabwe's leader Robert Mugabe was more scathing. "I've just concluded, since President Obama endorses the same-sex marriage, advocates homosexual people and enjoys an attractive countenance, if it becomes necessary, I shall travel to Washington, D.C., get down on one knee and ask his hand." Whether Barack Obama actually managed to win round any of his African counterparts is doubtful, but it was certainly entertaining to watch. Back to you.
Robert Nagila for us there. Well, let's get you some perspectives on this development now. And I'm joined from Cairo by Bashir Abdel Fattah. He's a political analyst and former editor-in-chief of the International Politics magazine. Bashir, thank you. Now, President Obama's handling of Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi could have been better, as well as his stance on the Muslim Brotherhood. Just how much have relations between the U.S. and Egypt been damaged under Obama?
We cannot say that it is damaged completely, but we can say that it is very much and deeply affected by what happened in Egypt in the 3rd of July 2013. But we should refer to a very important point, that the American-Egyptian relation based on two tracks. The first track is a civilian one between the American administration, the American presidency, and the Egyptian presidency. And this is very much affected by what happened in July 2013 and what the Americans call the military coup. The other track is the military track, the relationship between the American military and the Egyptian military. And the second track is not affected too much by what happened in Egypt in 2003 and 13. So I think now the relation is getting better after Obama. And during the last few months of Obama's administration, I think Egypt and the United States began to overcome the dispute and the crisis in relation. Obama began to release the military assistance to Egypt and the economic assistance as well. But he never visited Egypt, and he never invited President al-Sisi to visit him in the White House as well.
Right. Well, let's bring in Amira Woods here. She's joining me from Washington. Amira, to you though, during his 8 years in office, President Obama did anger some African leaders with some of his speeches. Those include issues of term limits for leaders and gay rights, some of what he mentioned in Kenya. Some say that points to a lack of understanding of the continent's complicated political and social value systems. Is that a fair assessment?
It's difficult to hear you with the feed, but my understanding from your question is around Obama and his relations with the continent, and particularly leaders on the continent. I think one of the achievements of the Obama administration has been to bring together, for example, African heads of state here in Washington in the US-Africa Summit, to bring together young African leaders through the Young African Leaders Initiative. And all of these initiatives have been good, and they're part of the Obama legacy. But much more powerful and detrimental, to be quite frank, has been the focus of the administration on countering terrorism and U.S. military engagement on the continent through the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, and also the push towards both greater extraction of resources, oil, gas, liquefied natural gas in particular, throughout the continent. This has not been only the Obama administration, it's quite frankly Republicans and Democrats that have focused on extraction from the continent, particularly the continent's vital natural resources. And again, we're expecting very little change in the coming Trump administration, but it was an anchoring point for the Obama administration as well. So countering terrorism, expansion of U.S. military engagement, expansion of particularly the extractive industries, economic activities through the extractive industries of oil, gas, mining, liquefied natural gas, and also land and U.S. interests in Africa's land. All of those were hallmarks of the Obama administration, as well as quite frankly, previous administrations, again, both Republicans and Democrats.
Right.
So it's difficult to hear your question from here in Washington, but I hope that provides a response.
Right, Amira. Bashir, let me return to you, though, and of course look at the Libyan crisis of 2011, the ongoing turmoil in Libya, though Obama called the aftermath of that his biggest mistake in Africa. Do you think it would have been avoided if Egyptian forces were allowed into Libya?
We cannot say that because there are many delays in front of the Egyptian military intervention in Libya. First of all, we should say that the Egyptian military intervention in Libya comes on two levels. The first level is the direct military intervention through the Egyptian raids against ISIS places in the eastern of Libya. And I think the Americans and most of the Libyans rejected such raids in Libya. And the second level is the indirect military intervention through the supporting the military Egyptian support to General Khalifa Haftar and his military actions in Libya. And he occupied the oil area in Libya by the support of the Egyptian military assistance. But I think there are many delays in front of the intervention of Egypt in Libya. First of all, there are the legitimized government in Libya rejected the intervention of Egypt in Libya. Secondly, Algeria and some regional countries as well rejecting the military intervention from Egypt in Libya. The United States as well. She refused, the Americans refused to help the Egyptians in their raids against ISIS in Libya. And they condemned the intervention, supporting that the best way to deal with Libya is the negotiations, not the military intervention. In addition, the intervention from Egypt in Libya cost us, the Egyptians, a lot.
I'm afraid, Bashir, we're going to leave it there for the moment, but I do thank you very much for your insights there. Bashir Abdel Fattah in Cairo and Amira Woods joining us there from Washington. To you both, thank you.